The Ethereal by Josh Young. Day 1. I woke up, hyperventilating again. It was like 3 a.m. It feels like I'm waking from a horrible nightmare, but I don't remember dreaming. I moved Bandit off me. He's our golden retriever. And I go to the kitchen to get some water. I find a piece of paper on the counter with strange symbols on it. Then another one stuck to the wall. Then another one on the ironing board. The symbols, they look like runes or some strange language. I woke up my wife, Eden, and asked her about the notes. She sleepily said, "Stop trying to scare me." I could tell that she had no idea what I was talking about. So I just said, I'm kidding. So she didn't worry. She fell back asleep. Well, it wasn't her, and my kids aren't tall or artistic enough to do this. So, who did? My brother Mitch is a night owl, so I called him. He said I should make sure all my doors were locked properly. Before I attempted to go back to sleep, I checked the doors, and they were fine. But I did find a window open in my kids' room. I shut it and walked back through the kitchen, and I was in shock. All the cabinets were open, and the food was all over the floor. What is happening? I looked to make sure everything was locked. I can't figure out how they're doing this. I'm getting a gun tomorrow. I called Mitch back. He was still awake. I told him what happened. He said that New Orleans has had a crime wave since the schools let out for the summer. He said that a gun was probably a good idea, and he would set me up with his gun guy tomorrow. Anyway, good night. Day 2. I woke up today in a coughing fit. It was very intense. Bandit wasn't sleeping in his spot. Maybe used his doggy door to go out and play. That's odd for him to break his daily habits. Oh well, I've got to hurry. I don't have time for this. I walked into the kitchen, and my wife starts telling me about her spirituality in the home book. I think that's hippie stuff and that it's bogus, but I smile and nod as I leave the room to go get my keys. When I re-enter the kitchen, Eden greets me again and tells me about her book. Again. Nearly identically to the last time. Well, that's strange. But I'm in a rush, so I just pretend to be interested again and ask where the kids are. They're normally running all over the place. She said that they were in their room. I walk into the unusually quiet room
just to see both of my kids staring blankly out the window.
That's also strange, but I'm gonna be late for work, so I kiss them and I leave. I make it to Sal's gun and pawn, and Sal was there. I told him that Mitch sent me, and Sal said that Mitch told him about the break-in, and Sal said it's most likely these crazy teenagers out for the summer. He says he sees it on the news every year, like clockwork. Stupid kids breaking into places just to trash them. He sold me the gun, and as he placed it in my hand, he said, "Since these are probably school kids, maybe don't shoot to kill." I explained that I have a family, so non-fatal shooting isn't an option for me. I rush to work, and I have a deadline to meet, so I have to work late. I get done with work, and I rush home. It's about 11:30 p.m. When I get there, the front door is open. I walk in and shut it, and I look around. I hear water running. I walk into the kitchen, and the sink is on full blast. I turn it off, but I still hear water running. So I go to the bathrooms, and the sinks in every bathroom are turned all the way up. I search the house, and everything seems normal. Then I remember one place I haven't looked. The attic. I pull the ladder down. It's super dark in here. The ladder feels wet. That's strange. I climb the ladder and raise the hatch. I see a shadow of a giant figure lying on the floor, not moving. I slowly climb inside the attic. I grab the shadow, and I feel fur. Wet, sticky fur. Oh no. It can't be. It's Bandit. I drag him into the light. As I pull him, his guts and stomach fall out of his belly. When I get him into the light, I see that he's been cut nearly in half, long ways. And then there's an ink pen jammed in his eye. Terror and sadness wash over me. I cry and hug his dead body. I can't let my family see this. I try to clean up the blood as best I can. I put his body in a trash bag and his guts in another trash bag and take his body to the backyard and bury him. My family can't know about this. And when I find whoever has done this, I'm going to kill them. I finished burying Bandit. My heart was broken. I made my way up the stairs and laid by Eden and fell asleep. I woke up a little later to the sound of crying. I look up and I see her, all alone in the dark. Eden's rocking slowly in a rocking chair, trying to stifle her crying. She sees my movement, and her head just kind of darts in my direction. She then just stares at me for a moment. Then after a little bit of time, she says, "Why did you let them take me?" I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. Then she said through more tears, "They electrocuted me. They drugged me out of my mind. They hurt me. You said it would make me well. You said the doctors would fix me. But all it did was make me hate you." Then the lights turned on. The chair was empty. Eden came in the door, on the other side of the room. She ran in saying, "Are you okay?" I said yes, but I was still stunned and a little confused. She said she went to get water and heard me screaming and then rushed back to the room. I told her that I must have been talking in my sleep. I thought I was having a bad dream. So she got back into bed. I cuddled her for a little while, got her back to sleep. I was still up, so I decided to go walk down the hall, peek in on the kids, do a little head count. 1, 2, 3. They're so cute when they're sleeping. I started making my way back to the room, and suddenly my head started hurting. Terribly. It was right behind my eyeballs. I started to fall. Then suddenly everything went white. Then suddenly I was in the basement, and it was daytime. I was throwing up and I was on my hands and knees on the floor. I looked down at my shirt, and there was blood all over it. And I looked down in my hand, and there was a leash. And at the end of that leash was Bandit. And he was alive. I stood up, shocked, just staring at Bandit. He just happily brushed up against me. Once again, I brought my attention to the blood on my shirt. I took it off and searched my body for wounds, but I found nothing. I found one of my shirts in the dryer and put it on and started looking around the basement for any sign of what had transpired during my lost time. I saw nothing, but suddenly I was ejected from my thoughts. I heard a terrible shrieking and crashing above me. I rushed upstairs and burst into the kitchen, and it was completely destroyed. There were holes in the walls, broken cabinets, glass, silverware, and food were everywhere. And laying in the remains of the broken table was Eden. She was bleeding from her nose with cuts all over her, and she was screaming, "It took the kids!" I asked what took the kids, and she was just screaming and flailing, so I pinned her down and screamed in her face and asked her, "What took the kids?" She said, "I don't know. It wasn't human. It took them upstairs. Go now." I ran up the stairs. The walls and the floor were ripped apart, making a horrifying trail to my room. The door was closed, but it looked like it had been chopped to pieces by an axe. I ran through the door to see my children laying on the floor, and they were both white as a sheet, and they were seizing violently. I grabbed both of them in my arms, and as I pick them up, I see 4 deep cuts across their chest. It had ripped straight through their shirt. It looked like claw marks. As I make my way down the hall carrying the kids downstairs, the lights start humming, and I hear a scratching sound inside the wall. Not that of a rat, but it's as if a leopard were stuffed into the crawl space, violently trying to escape. I start running down the hall. The hum of the lights get louder, and the lights get brighter. I make it to the stairs when I hear a thud and a shriek. The creature was out of the wall downstairs in the kitchen with Eden. I hear her start to scream. I also hear a horrible shriek of the creature that was too strange to describe. I hear screaming and crashing noises. I'm about halfway down the stairs when the hum of the lights and the brightness intensifies to the point that all I can hear is a hum, and all I can see is the white light. Then boom, the lights explode. It's pitch black. I look to where the window should be. It was pitch black outside as well. Wasn't it daytime? Then I hear a blood-curdling scream. It's Eden, but the scream is being drowned out by wet, ripping sounds and crashes. I run blindly into the kitchen. As I enter the room, I notice the temperature is freezing. I hear Eden's scream trail away, and the sounds of nails on a chalkboard, as if she's being dragged away. Then I hear a door slam, and everything goes silent. I stand in the dark, listening, and trying to let my eyes adjust. Then suddenly the light turns back on, and Eden's a foot in front of me. When she sees me, her face turns to fear, and after a moment she says, "Can you please show me the way out of here?" I start to say yes, and then she continues, "My husband left to get the children and hasn't come back yet. Can you please show me the way out of here?" I was shocked and saddened that she didn't know me, but I thought I could show her the kids and that might help her remember. But when I looked down in my arms, they were empty. The children were gone. Then I looked up again and noticed that Eden wasn't bleeding like she was before. She was clean. Her injuries were gone. And she was wearing something different than the last time I saw her. asked her to come with me. I thought at least I could get her out of this. But then from behind me, I hear Eden scream from the other side of the room. The lights cut again, but only for a moment. Then I heard that terrible shriek of the creature again. Then the lights came back on. The Eden I was talking to was gone. And I saw another Eden on the other side of the room, weeping, with slashes all over her body, bleeding from her nose, even worse than last time I had seen her. She was back in her old tattered clothes, but I noticed blood dripping out of her side. Something had been stabbed into it. It looked like the splintered leg of a chair. I ran over to her, and she said, "You must save the children. It told me it means to take their lives." I said, "Okay, baby, I'll find them, but I need to get you out of here first." So I lifted her up and carried her towards the front door. But the lights were beginning to blink again. And when I made it to the door, it wasn't there, and the windows weren't there. Heard a roar from downstairs, and I started running towards the back door. The rooms I was running through didn't look as they should, and there were more rooms than before, and they were all in the wrong order. I looked back, and I see the clean Eden behind me, chasing me. The light starts flickering faster as I get closer to the back door. Then the clean Eden grabs me from behind and said, "Please don't leave me in the dark." I look down to the Eden I'm carrying, and she slices my face with her fingernails, leaving 4 deep cuts. Then the lights cut again. Blackness. I hear a wet sound that sounded like snakes slithering on top of each other. Then the lights cut back on again, and I was in the attic alone. Eden was gone, and the scratches on my face were bleeding profusely.